Shawnee. Welcome back. Today it is time for our weekly roundup where I take a look back at all of the palettes that I used over the past week and I rank them from least liked to most liked. Now I do have to say that this week I liked all of the looks, but I did like some a little bit more than others, and that is what I based my ranking on. This week also we used green eyeshadow. So I had a dedicated color that I was sticking to for the look. So every look is a green look, but I did do every look with a different eyeshadow palette. So let's go ahead and jump in. Now we have 5 slots and 6 eyeshadow palettes. And the reason that we have 6 eyeshadow palettes is because one day I used 2 palettes to get one look. You'll see what I mean when we get to it. But let's see what is in number 5. It is the Lethal Cosmetics Evergreen palette. Now this palette came out along with the Metamorphosis palette, I believe, during the holiday time. And when I was thinking greens, I really wanted to go ahead and pick this one up and use these greens over here in the corner. Now what I like about this palette is that it does have greens, but it also has a little bit of something else. So you can make really fun, interesting looks with it and not just stick with the green. You have lots of other options, blues and yellows, and this really pretty color here, as well as some multi and duochromes. So that is number 5. Number 4 is where we get the 2 palettes, and they are both from ADEPT Cosmetics. First is their Arrow inspired palette, and here are those shades. I've used this palette quite a bit since getting it, and I paired this palette with the Heather Austin palette from ADEPT, which is another palette that I have gotten a lot of use out of. I stuck with these 3 shades here, kind of the golden, yellow, and the green, along with these shades here, again kind of along the same lines of gold and green. This has a bit of like a teal hint to it as well. Now I really enjoy both of these palettes and I really enjoyed putting them together. This was a super bright, punchy look, and I wore it to work, and I was hard to miss. I was hard to miss. It's funny, one of my sweet mates said it looked very like Beetle-like, and it was a compliment, okay? Don't take it, don't try to start nothing. It was a compliment. So that is number 4. Now, number 3 is a look that I also really liked, and I made a plan to use this palette that week for a green look. It is the NOMAD Hudson Valley palette. Now, I knew I wanted to use this palette because I remembered the greens in here, and there's a variety of them, as well as a nice like yellowy green shimmer. I really enjoyed this palette. Again, NOMAD has palettes that are really easy to work with. I feel like the look was super easy to do. I had all the colors I needed. This is a great palette for the fall, or just any sort of green look that you want to do, or any kind of orangey red. You get a lot of options in here, and I really enjoyed it. Here we go, top 2. Now, in number 2, we have the Melt Cosmetics Gemini palette, the original Gemini. Now, I used most of the greens here in this corner, and I really enjoyed the look. I also used this shade here, which is the namesake of the palette, Gemini. What I will say, there are 2 shimmers in this palette, and they do take some building, but when you build them, they are gorgeous. The mattes were really easy to work with. You just had to do a little bit more work with the shimmers, but I felt like this came out to be a really nice, like sultry green look, and I would totally do it again. Now I'll give you a second to debate what the number 1 brand is. Come on. You know what it is. You probably are thinking like maybe three options. go with the most obvious one. Yes, Pat McGrath. Let's not talk about the new release coming out. No. But yes, to my number one palette, which is one of her quads, and this is the Nocturnal Nirvana quad. Now, this was one I wasn't quite sure that I was going to use it this week. I don't plan which palettes I'm going to use, even if I have like a color theme, but sometimes I'll think, ooh, I should use that one, like I did for the NOMAD one. But I had no idea I was going to use this quad. I used this shade here all over the lid, and then I went in with some mattes from my Focus palette, which is a palette of singles that I have that I just keep here on my vanity to use with other palettes. And I used, I believe, these two shades here just to give some depth to the look that I created with the Nocturnal Nirvana. The funny thing is that as soon as I got on camera for my telehealth appointment with one of my patients, they were like, oh, you're wearing Pat McGrath. And they could tell by the shiftiness of the shadow. It was just really pretty. It really was a great way to end the week, because it was the last green look of the week. And I have to say that everyone I came in contact with really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it a lot too. And I mean, for even with the lack of shade range in her bronzers that she's coming out with, and the boringness of that quad that she's coming out with that I probably will get anyway, even though I'm saying it's boring, Pat McGrath did not let me down. So let me know what palettes you used over the past week. Also, let me know if there is a color that you'd like me to focus on, and I will be sure to do that. Or if there are palettes you want me to focus on, let me know what you think. I think that's it. I hope that some of this was helpful, and I also hope that you are continuing to take care of yourself. Please be sure before you leave to like the video, and also feel free to subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.